and welcome back to Teacher Gimble's channel. Today we'll be going over Illustrative Math, Algebra 1, Unit 2, Lesson 7. Let's get started. If you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe at the button over here. Problem 1. Match each equation with the equivalent equation. Some answer choices are not used. So I'm going to be honest, I started this problem set and I wanted to simplify everything, but I don't necessarily think that's the best strategy. I think there's some amount of matching and figuring things out as we go along. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to talk out my process, which might not be the most efficient process, but I think it's valuable to see. So looking quickly, I see we've got a lot going on. Now, I'm going to do some simplification as I feel necessary. So this is 7x is equal to 1 because I combine the terms on both sides, which immediately tells me this guy is equal to that guy. Now, there's nothing with parentheses over here, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to distribute my 3 in order to find some things that are matching. And I get 3x plus 18 is equal to 4x plus 7. And now I'm going to look at some of my numbers. I see these two are matching. So there is a minus over here. And I notice that there is no subtraction on this side. And I have a 4x plus 7. And I see I have a 4x plus 7 over here. And a 4x plus 7 over there. So let's do some simplification because I see a few patterns. I see another 4x plus 7 and another 4x plus 7. But nothing is sparking any joy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to simplify. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides here, which gets me 5x is equal to 7. Over here, if I subtract 4x from both sides, I'm going to get negative x is equal to 7. And over here, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides, and I'm going to get negative 1 is equal to x. And let's go and see which one of these is equal to our equation on this side. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides first, which is going to get me 3x is equal to 4x plus 1. And then I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides to get my x terms on one side, and I get negative x is equal to 1, which matches, almost looks like it matches this guy down here. And all I need to do is actually get it to match was I'll multiply every term by negative 1. So if I multiply this by negative 1, he becomes positive. I multiply that side by negative 1, he becomes negative. Now they match. So A matches with 4. So there's multiple ways that you could do this. I thought I had to simplify, but then I didn't want to simplify, but I ended up and I had to go back to simplify. So go ahead. Questions like this are always about the problem solving and the process rather than just the right answer. So do what works for you and see how you find the answer yourself. Problem number 2. May says that the equations A and B have the same solution. So equation A is negative 3 times x plus 7 is equal to 24, and equation B is x plus 7 is equal to negative 8. Which statement explains why this is true? Adding 3 to both sides of equation A gets negative x plus 7 minus 8 is equal to negative 8. No, adding 3 does not get you that. Adding 3 is going to get you negative 3 times x plus 7 plus 3 is equal to 24 plus 3. So we're going to cross them out. Applying the distributive property to equation A gives x plus 7 minus 8. Well, I like the way they use the distributive property. Let's see what happens when I use the distributive property. The 3 only gets distributed to what's right next to it in parentheses. So this turns it into negative 3x minus 21 is equal to 24. That does not give us x plus 7 is negative 8, so nope. C. Subtracting 3 from both sides of equation A gives us x plus 7 is equal to negative 8. Also no. It has the same issue as A. You can't, subtracting is not going to help us in this case, so no. Finally, dividing both sides of equation A by negative 3 gets us x plus 7 is equal to 8. Well, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. And if I'm doing it like this, I have to divide every single term by negative 3 because that's how division works in a question like this. Cross it out, we get x. Negative 21 divided by negative 3 is positive 7, is equal to 24 divided by negative 3 is negative 8. Yep, so this is correct. All right, so we had to do some distribution. We had to check all of our answer choices, but it got us to the right space. So make sure you go ahead and check all of your answer choices as you're doing these questions and know your order of operations so the problems, the answer choices don't mess you up. Let's go ahead to question number 3. Is 0 a solution to 2x plus 10 equals 4x plus 10? Explain or show your reasoning. Well, it's asking if 0 is a solution, so I'm just going to plug in 0 and see if it works, because it doesn't actually ask us to find the solution. It just said, is 0 a solution? And 2 times 0 is 0, so it's as if it's not there, and 4 times 0 is 0, so if it's not there, and 10 is equal to 10, so yes, it is a solution. And that would be my reasoning right there. Problem number 4. Kieran says that a solution to the equation x plus 4 equals 20 must also be a solution to the equation 5 times x plus 4 is equal to 100. Write a convincing explanation of why this is true. Well, what happens if I take this equation, x plus 4 is equal to 20, and I multiply both sides by 5? I get 5 on this side, I multiply by 5 over there. I got 5x plus 4 is equal to 100. So I immediately see that these two are equivalent expressions or equivalent equations in this case because they're equal to 0. And basically, x plus 4 is equal to 20 remains the same solution. It has the same solution if I do something to the right side and I do it to the left. So because I multiplied the right by 5 and the left by 5, the solution to my equation is not going to change because I've done it equivalently to both sides. Pause this video now if you need a second to write down your explanation, or need to re-listen so you have your explanation. Problem number 5. The Entrepreneurship Club is ordering potted plants for all 36 of its sponsors. One store charges $8.50 for each plant, plus a delivery fee of $20. The equation 320 is equal to x plus 350 times 36 represents the cost of ordering a potted plant at the second store. What does x represent in this equation? So let's rewrite our equation. And we know 36 represents number of sponsors because there are 36 sponsors. And 850 is a charge plus of each plant plus a delivery fee of $20. So the x in this equation is going to represent the cost for each potted plant at the second store. So this represents the second store. So it doesn't represent the $8.50 and it does not represent the $20. So I had to look at my question. I was like, where's the $8.50 or where's the $20? And reading it a little bit more carefully, I said, this represents the second store. So if it's $36 here times $7.50 is equal to $320, well, this over here, this is going to be the cost. And B says the delivery fee at the second store. Well, it would be $7.50 per potted plant. Plus over here is the delivery fee, which isn't going to change. So I actually like this guy over here. I don't think he represents each per potted plant because we don't multiply it by anything. And we would multiply the cost of each potted plant per each sponsor. C says the total cost of ordering the potted plants at the second store. That doesn't make sense. And B says the number of sponsors in the Entrepreneur Club. So nope, these would be wrong. Now, this is a little bit tricky because the X here represents the cost of delivery, which actually doesn't change. And usually X, when we see X in an equation, we think, okay, what's changing? But in this case, it just represents a value that we're not given. And in that case, it represents the delivery cost. And we know this value is not the delivery cost because we multiply it by 36, which is the number of sponsors, which is also the number of potted plants that we are receiving. So problem solving in this question is more important to make sure we're getting the correct answer than just doing some math. Problem number 6. Which equation is equivalent to the equation 5x plus 30 is equal to 45? Well, I'm just going to solve these. In my head, solving it is the quickest way. You could try to rewrite that would be okay, but I like to solve. So x is equal to 3. So if x is equal to 3, I'm good to go. I divide by 35, I divide by 35. I do not know what 45 divided by 35 is in my head, but I do know that it is not 3. I divide by 5, I divide by 5. 75 divided by 5 is not 3. I divide by 5 first. Cross it out. I get x plus 30 is equal to 45 divided by 5 is 9. I subtract 30 from both sides. Also not 3. I divide by 5. I divide by 5. X plus 6 is equal to 9. I subtract 6 from both sides. X is equal to 3. In this case, this is our equivalent expression. And we're done. All right, let's go on to the next one. Problem number 7. The Environmental Club Science Club is printing t-shirts for its 15 members. The printing company charges a certain amount for each shirt plus a setup fee of $20. If the t-shirt costs a total of $162, how much does the company charge for each shirt? So we have a total amount of $162.50. And we know that it's going to be 15 members times the cost plus 20. So to solve, now once we have an equation, it's pretty easy to solve this. So I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. And this is going to leave me, I'm going to jump below, 142.50 is equal to 15 times the cost. And I'm going to just divide both sides by 15, which is going to get me to the cost is equal to 142, which is 142.50 divided by 15. I'm using my handy dandy calculator here, which gets me $9.50. So it is $9.50 per shirt per member of the Environmental Science Club. So the harder part here is setting up the equation. Once you have the equation, solving it using the steps to solve an equation is relatively straightforward. All right. The graph shows the temperature relationship between the temperature in degrees Celsius and the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Mark the point on the graph that shows the temperature in degrees Celsius when it is 60 degrees Fahrenheit. When it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit, it's about 17 degrees Celsius. We're done. Mark the point on the graph that shows the temperature in Fahrenheit when it is 60 degrees Celsius. Well, when it's 60 degrees Celsius, we are 140 degrees Fahrenheit. We're done. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Use the graph to approximate the boiling temperature in Fahrenheit or to confirm it if you know what it is. So at 100 degrees Celsius, we are a little bit above 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which actually is 212 degrees Fahrenheit is the boiling point of water. We're done. So F equals 212, but anything like 210, 215, 220 even, I think would be a correct answer in this case because we are estimating or approximating. The equation that converts Fahrenheit to Celsius is 5/9 times Fahrenheit minus 32. Use it to calculate the temperature in Celsius when it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. The answer will be more exact than the point you found in the first part. So we know we have 60 degrees Fahrenheit, so we know what F is. So I'm going to say C is equal to 5/9. Our F is 60 minus 32. In my head, I get 5/9 times 60 minus 32 is 28. In my handy dandy calculator, because I always use a calculator to make sure my calculations are correct, I say 5/9 times 28. And you should be taking out your handy dandy calculator now because as mathematicians, we should always have it at hand. Gets me 15.55 repeating, or 15.56, which gets us a little bit more accurate than the point we found in part 1. And we're done. And we make sure to put units. In this case, our unit is degrees Celsius. And this is a pretty useful thing if you're ever traveling overseas. They use Celsius rather than Fahrenheit. So it's good to know how to convert between the two. All right, let's go on to the next question. Problem number 9. Select all the equations with the same solution as 2x minus 5 is equal to 15. Well, I'm going to find the solution by doing my mathematics. If you have trouble doing the mathematics, you should definitely go back and practice. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, I divide by 2, I divide by 2, x is equal to 5. Nope. I divide by 2, I divide by 2, x is equal to 10. Yup. I'm going to divide by 2, I'm going to divide by 2. X minus 5 is equal to 7.5. I know when I add 5 to both sides, I'm going to get a decimal. That's not going to be 10. I'm going to add 20 to both sides first. I got 2x is equal to 20. He matches that guy. We don't need to do anything else. Work smart, not hard. We're going to add 10 to both sides. Oops, that's an 100. We're going to get 4x is equal to 40. We divide by 4. We divide by 4. X is equal to 10. We are good to go. And in this case, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. I'm going to get 10 is equal to negative 2x. I know when I divide by a negative, I'm going to divide a positive by a negative. It's going to get me a negative number. Cross it out. And we're done. I know I went very quickly through that question, so pause now if you want a second to go over it yourself. But at this point, solving simple equations like this should be something you should be able to do relatively quickly. Problem 10. Diego's age D is 5 more than 2 times his sister's age S. The situation is represented by the equation D is equal to 2S plus 5. Which equation is equivalent to the equation D equals 2S plus 5? So I'm going to try to rewrite these equations in order to see which one is equivalent. In this case, D is equal to 2S, but when I distribute my 2 plus 10, he does not match, so I cross it out. Here, I'm going to add 5 to both sides because I know I want my equation to be D equal to something, and this has D minus 5, so I can't even compare it when we have that minus 5 right there. So we're going to have D is equal to 2S plus 5. We're done. We found our answer in the second one. But remember, we always double check all of our answers. So in this case, again, I'm going to get my D alone. I'm going to add the 2 to both sides, which gets me D is equal to S plus 7, which does not match this. And here, we want a D alone. So we're going to multiply by 2. To multiply the whole thing by 2, which gets us D is equal to 2S plus 5. My S's and my 5's look the same, so we got to be careful. We're going to distribute here, and we get 2s plus 2 times 5 is 10. They do not match. We can cross them out. All right, and we have finished. If you have any questions, make sure to put them in the comments below. If you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe down there, and I will see you in the next one.